This has been a long due and much needed video to make because I do want to clarify a few things, specifically following a clash that kind of happened on our Telegram group when there's a guy that was speaking, in my opinion, nonsense and things that were so far away from the actual truth and from the perception of whatever is happening. So just to reiterate, the whole purpose of having a project that helps others get into real DeFi without them doing this themselves is essentially that. So providing a shortcut, providing a service. So yes, indeed, if people can do this themselves, then they will do so regardless. But if people cannot, for any reason whatsoever, so could be a time constraint, could be the fact that they don't know much yet to do so, and so many other reasons, then they would potentially use a project like Numerical to get into this simply by depositing whatever asset there is and then, getting some sort of return during any given time frame. All right, so that is the whole point. So again, if you can do this yourself, then do so. If not, then this or other similar projects could be a way for you to get into real DeFi. Second, there is no money being taken away. Remember, what you're depositing, you can withdraw at any given moment. So if I go on the DApp, click on the vault, you will see that you can actually withdraw. So you request your withdraw, and then that request is met once the new epoch begins. So this is how it goes. It's all explained in the paper. You can clearly see it there. In regards to the investment vehicles applied, of course, all of these are not simply laid out, but they can be tracked. So people who know how to go on chain, they can check them out themselves to see what's going on there. There is a combination of alt LPing with hedging with stablecoins. So if you see something that you don't understand, feel free to ask, because I also saw a comment where there's this specific stablecoin called USDR that is being, used, which, by the way, that stablecoin has lost its peg. Now it's trading at 0.66 to the dollar. But then again, these people didn't know what's going on with that position. And in reality, this stablecoin is being shorted, meaning when it falls down, we make money. Again, if you see something that you don't really understand, please ask and we can clarify this. So these strategies are carefully laid out and they are carefully hedged out versus impermanent loss. So the whole thing is not random. It's not gambling with alts and hoping for a good return. It's actual research behind doing all of this. All right, so just understand this. I'm a person who's been doing DeFi for years, who has approximately 6 figures in DeFi. So all of these years of research, all of these ups and downs, yield farming strats, etc., came to fruition overall. And we're still learning, of course. Nobody knows everything, but I can safely say that the strategies employed in Numerical are, at least to some extent, more or less safe. All right. Now, one more thing I also want to mention is that please try to make a deposit right before the conclusion of an epoch. So right now, the epoch ends in 5 days and 3 hours. So try to make a deposit, let's say in 5 days, then you'll include the next epoch. Because as long as your deposit remains in the pending deposit, it's not generating yield. And there are actually a couple of people who did deposit after epoch 2 begins, and unfortunately, this money will not be part of the rewards that will be distributed by epoch 2's conclusion. Now, if you read the white paper, you'll know that this money is currently generating some yield that will go directly to the treasury. All right, so it's not doing nothing, but it won't go to the investors because the smart contract hasn't included them. So please, 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 if you want to deposit, do so right before the epoch begins. I will probably give a small, extension. So before the conclusion, I will give like 2 hours for people who want to redeposit their rewards or for people who want to invest. So that's going to be the case, but no longer than that. So either right before conclusion or potentially an hour after. So try to, do this on time, unless you're okay with that lag time. And then you know that you're benefiting the treasury, which, by the way, is going to benefit you back. Because at the end of the day, this project is not simply DeFi as a service, which it says, by the way, on the bigger landing page. It's also meant to optimize a yield flywheel eventually, from treasury yield to potentially a token that will be deployed, but that's a bit in the future. And of course, the users that are in the vault generating yield. So there will be a formula, which also is labeled on the main page, which essentially is the point. So eventually, when you want to enter something yourself, you'll see that through Numerical, potentially you get more yield. Not only that, but also we are using premium features that instead of you market purchasing yourself, you're going to enjoy here. For example, extra fees, premium features, premium borrowing, as well as extra leverage. You cannot get this unless you buy 10,000 extra tokens and lock them up for maximum duration. Right now, that's essentially around $800, 800-ish. So that is a steep cost, but with Numerical, you get those perks without doing that, because those tokens were actually donated to the protocol, meaning you are part of this formula without having to pay the cost. So remember, similar perks could be coming in the future, and this is the essential goal. Make it easy for people and extra yield that will be coming eventually, and consistency. That's also super important. And the end game is to go fully decentralized, because right now, yes, it is custodial to some extent. All right, so these investments are actively managed. So hoping in some point in the future for all of this to be decentralized, and that's only possible with more capital flowing in. And that's not capital that we want to take away from people. So we're not raising money, we're not doing any of this. So we're starting from zero. Of course, lots of the costs that were put in for developing the dApp, audits, etc., were put in out of pocket, and also audit, for example, as well as the, like I said, the premium features of some protocols. Those were donated, but from now on, we're hoping to fund everything that comes in later from the treasury, but we're still super small. So the TVL is still tiny. There's still a few trickles going to the treasury, and there's no rush. Hoping that will grow over time, and when the time comes, we'll go fully decentralized, which would also alleviate some people in regards to, will they steal the money? What will happen? Yes, there's human error, but that's everywhere. So risk is everywhere. Our job is to mitigate it. So I really hope this clarifies a lot of these things that potentially you saw in the group, or maybe those were questions you already had. So I'm hoping that this answers some of it. And if you have any other question, please feel free to reach out personally on the group, whatever. You have the socials, you have the links, everything is in the description. And one last thing, that APR here that you see, it is the annualized return based on the prior epoch. So epoch 1 distributed rewards, and those rewards made up overall at the annualized rate of 52.43%, meaning if same amount of rewards were to be distributed from now until the end of the year, you would get 52.43% on top of your initial investment, which is, remember, intact. Nothing is gone. You can withdraw at any time. It's simple as that. With that, see you in the next one. Have a good one.